Every organisation has stakeholders, both internal and external. Your first step is to identify them. The next step is to consider their needs. When doing this, you need to see the organisation from that stakeholder's point of view. Always think, if I was this stakeholder, what would I want from the organisation? Here are some examples of possible stakeholder needs. Shareholders want a return on their capital through asset appreciation and dividends. The board and the CEO want revenue and profit growth and market share, as it is tied closely to their bonuses. They also must deliver the outcomes the shareholders are after. Employees, well, they want wages and benefits and job security. They also regard the organisation's culture as important to their job satisfaction. Customers obviously want a high quality product and reliable, but at a low price. They would like to see innovation or other improvements that increases the value to them. Suppliers want to see growth in the organisation as well as stability in demand. They would like long-term contracts but with stable margins on their products. Government can have a variety of needs depending on which area is the focus. Treasury want the organisation's profits to grow and therefore tax revenues. They want employment to increase. Government regulators, however, want the organisation to comply with the law, whether about health and safety, the environment or other regulations. Banks and others who sell debt will want their interest payments and capital return. The next step is to assess these stakeholders to try and determine their level of impact on an organisation's strategy. The power versus interest map is a useful tool to help you conduct this analysis. Let's use an example to illustrate how to use the map. BHP Billiton is a large multinational miner with $138 billion of market capitalisation. Significant shareholders here have a high level of interest in BHP's strategy and they hold significant power. They could vote out the board and demand a change in strategy. On the map, they are categorised as players. So too are senior management in BHP, like the CEO and the board, who ultimately sign off on the strategic direction of the company. Management's bonuses are also linked to the company's performance, so they have a strong strategic interest. BHP's customers have a medium to high level of power as they drive the demand for the company's minerals. The massive drop in demand in recent times and the consequential 60% plus drop in iron ore prices has affected BHP's strategy. These customers negotiate very large contracts with future prices, but don't necessarily have a high interest in BHP's strategic direction, as they are buying off an international market where there are many suppliers. These customers are categorised as context setters. In 2014, BHP paid $5.9 billion in tax. They also paid around another $2.5 billion in royalties. The government of the day controls tax legislation, and so policy changes by government could have significant ramifications for BHP. The federal government also has responsibilities for the environment and has the power to grant licences or place specific conditions on existing ones. Governments generally do not have a high level of interest in an organisation's strategy, but BHP could be an exception. BHP is Australia's largest taxpayer, but still only accounts for 1.7% of total government tax revenues. However, governments are currently grappling with the issue of tax avoidance, where large companies like BHP manipulate their operations to reduce their tax liabilities. Coupled with political sensitivities around environmental issues, the government in this case is a player. BHP's employees do have a high level of interest in the company as it provides them with wages and benefits, but their power to influence BHP's strategy is low. Environmental groups also have a high interest but have little power over the company. We categorise both these groups as subjects in the map. Stakeholders with both low interest and power over BHP are likely to be suppliers to the industry. Suppliers do have an interest in winning contracts and selling equipment to BHP, but not an interest in the company's strategy, which is what we're analysing here. We call these guys the crowd, as they also hold little power, as BHP can source their equipment and other products from a range of suppliers. So let's recap. Be methodical when analysing stakeholders in a case study. Start with listing them all down and look specifically at their needs and wants from their point of view. Next, use the power interest map and consider each stakeholder separately. What is the stakeholder's level of interest in the organisation? And what is their power to impact that organisation's strategic direction? You want to know this because when you recommend a strategic option or are analysing one, you have to consider again how this will affect stakeholders. Stakeholders will then form part of the organisation's risk strategy with a focus on those stakeholders who have the greatest potential impact on the organisation.